the recognition of the helpless smallness, the impotence of one's mind. Is man omniscient? Demand the mystics. Is he infallible? How dare he challenge the... There is only one reality, the reality knowable to reason. And if man does not choose to perceive it, there is nothing else for him to perceive. If it is not of this world that he is conscious, then he is not conscious at all. The sole result of the mystic projection of another reality is that it incapacitates man psychologically for this one. It was not by contemplating the transcendental, the ineffable, the undefinable. It was not by contemplating the non-existent that man lifted himself from the cave and transformed the material world to make a human existence possible on earth. Okay. If you guys crack it out, decorum. Okay, go ahead. My voice, man, it really moves mountains. And that's doing things like withholding funding, right? Calling jobs, calling universities, doing a lot of different things, lawsuits. There's a lot of different ways that they go after anti-Semitism. And I think that BEMA, right? I think that BEMA was laying the blueprint and the foundation on how the Black community can go about, right, going after anti-Blackness, because anti-Blackness and anti-Semitism is not held with the same respect. But that's not the Jews' fault. That's not white people's fault. That's Black people's fault. Abby just told you that on the corners of those neighborhoods, they have facial recognition, AI, all kind of shit, cameras and things like that. Right? They make the calls behind the scenes, right? They get you clipped, they do this, and that. So we need to move with that same, with those same tactics. Hold on, Pepe. We need to move with those same. Mine is the head of one man, and my insight is keen as the hawk's. By my head I invoke I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle, reverse the sign, given of none save repeat of thee, O Lord. By the Lamb.
joy is to see your joy. These are fools that men adore, both their gods and their men of fools. 12 come forth, O children, under the stars, and take your fill of love. 13, I am above you, and in you my ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. 14 above, the gemmed azure is the naked splendor of Nubia. She bends in ecstasy to kiss the secret ardors of Hades. The wicked love, the starry blue, are wide awake at Naples.
The manifestation of new Eve, the unfurling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. For every number is infinite, there is no difference. Help me, O warrior of thieves, in my unveiling before the children of men. 6 feet deep, my secret center, my heart and my tongue. 7, behold, it is revealed by Iris, the minister for God dreamt. 8, the couch is in the cool, not the poo in the cups. 9, worship then the cups, and behold, my light shed over you. 10, let my servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the known. 10, the manifestation of new Eve, the unfurling of the company of heaven. Every no difference. Help me, oh warrior of thieves, in my unveiling before the children of men. 6 feet deep, my secret center, my heart and my tongue. 7, behold, it is revealed my eyes, the minister of apartment. 8, the couch is in the pool, not the pool in the couch. 9, worship then the couch, and behold, my light shed over you. 10, let my servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the the manifestation of new wheat, the unfurling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. For every number is infinite, there is no difference. Help me, oh warrior of thieves, in my unveiling before the children of men. 6 feet deep, my secret center, my heart and my tongue. 7, behold, it is revealed my eyes, the minister of apartment. 8, the couch is in the pool, not the pool in the couch. 9, worship then the couch, and behold, my light shed over you. 10, let my servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the the manifestation of new wheat, the unfurling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. For every number is infinite, there is no difference. Help me, oh warrior of thieves. servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the the manifestation of new the unfurling of the company of heaven, every man and every woman is a star. For every number is infinite, there is no difference. Help me, oh warrior of thieves, in my unveiling before the children of men. Since we now have thee to my secret center, my heart and my tongue. 7, behold, it is revealed my eyes, the minister for the couch is in the cool. Not the blue in the clouds. I worship then the clouds, and behold, my light shed. The manifestation of knowing to the unveiling of the company of heaven, every man and every woman is a star. Every number is infinite. There is no difference. 5, help me, O warrior lord of deeds, in my unveiling before the children of men. Now I meet my secret sense as my heart is my thought. 7, behold, it is revealed that I was the minister of poor Patras. Praise because is in the pool, not the pool in the cats. I worship them the cats, and behold my light shed over you. Let my servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the a manifestation of knowing to the unveiling of the company of heaven, every man and every woman is a star. Every number is infinite. There is no in the cats. Night was there, then the cats, and behold my light shed over you. Let my servants give you a secret, they shall obey and know. A manifestation of night to the unveiling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul infinite space, is the prince priest to the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows, O splendrous serpent. 19. Azure linen woman. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto them. Now ye shall know that that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. What to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, or splendorous serpent. 19 hours your living woman, 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto them. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the heart which I have given unto them. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows, O splendrous serpent. 19. Azure living woman. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto them. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, into the hearts of men. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17, but ye are not so chosen. Burn upon their brows, or splendorous serpent. 19 hours you living woman. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him.
Knows what she is. If you don't need to talk to me over the phone, you've already.
It's true.
Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, and soul of infinite space, is the Prince Priest, the being. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever a sun and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows of splendorous serpent. 19. Azure-lidded woman. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. 'Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his is woman called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows of splendrous serpent. 19 azure living woman, and 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto them. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows of splendrous serpent. 19 azure linen women. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his is a woman called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a son, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17, but ye are not so chosen. 18, burn upon their brows of splendorous serpent. 19, azure-lidded woman, and 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest to be. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever sun and she moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows of splendrous serpent. 19. Azure-lidded woman, upon them. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. 'Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest to be. And in his They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows, or splendorous serpent. 19. Azure-lidded woman, the covenant. 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. 'Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the Scarlet Woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever sun and she moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18. Burn upon their brows, O splendrous serpent. 19. As your living woman, and 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. and in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16. For he is ever a sun, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17. But ye are not so chosen. 18 burn upon their brows, or splendrous serpent. 19 azure lidded woman, and 20. The key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. Now ye shall know that the chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman called the Scarlet Woman is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. Now ye shall know that chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men. 16, for he is ever a son, and she a moon. But to him is the winged secret flame, and to her the stooping starlight. 17, but ye are not so chosen. 18, burn upon their brows of splendrous serpent. 19, azure lidded woman, upon them. 20, the key of the rituals is in the secret word which I have given unto him. 'Now ye shall know that chosen priest, my soul of infinite space, is the prince priest, the beast. And in his woman, called the scarlet woman, is all power given. They shall gather my children into their fold. They shall bring the glory of the stars into the heart
house over time, but and I was listening. I honor some of the. I believe that Islamophobia has been an issue because I was in academia when I experienced some of it. But by and large, Muslims around the world did not condemn 9/11. And when you think of how many Muslims there are on the planet compared to Jews, for example, it's a little disconcerting that there wasn't wide condemnation because that was such a ferocious attack on Americans, and even the silence left us kind of weary. I mean, I know clinicians were fired because they were celebrating, and when Hamas attacked Jews in Israel, again I saw people celebrating. I have Muslim friends, and I think that they were empathetic, but by and large, there was not a wide condemnation of some of these terrorist events, and so it's just an American. Forget about being Jewish. I'm with Abby on the fact that it's triggering to hear people not kind of call out some of this stuff. I mean, there was some racial profiling, but I mean, if you're not going to call out, if people don't kind of curate a narrative amongst themselves as representatives of a population, then when folks are profiled, it's kind of, what do you do? It's a big challenge. Is it fair that everyone who may have been taken into custody, was that fair? Maybe not, but by and large, they were going after people with affiliations with terrorist cells, and they simply put them in custody. Were they tortured? I would hope not, but certainly, I think given the impact that had on the global economy, on all the lives lost, on all the redirection.
DJ, sorry, I was going to say something so quickly. DJ, do you realize, the prisoners in Guantanamo Bay, there's so much different prisoners in there, right? There's different people in there, like Muslim people that they, kidnapped and everything. So I don't know why people are trying to stress on, they're the ones that did 9/11. There's different types of people that are in that prison. I think if you guys dig into research. Fair enough, and again,
I don't want to condemn everyone. But I do think, and I don't want to condemn the global community, but I do want to say that, I think there wasn't as much condemnation of it, and maybe people were afraid, but considering how atrocious it was, it's alarming, and I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised by that because, that it's a numbers game in that regard. And in the Jewish community, no, we're not always perfect, but I think I saw some wide condemnation recently of some things, and the community is pretty small, so I was proud to see some things that they didn't find appropriate ethically, morally, etc. And I won't go into that, but this isn't also to condemn the Islamic community. It's just to say that it's a huge population, and 9/11 was super catastrophic, and it affected all of our lives. So, I will say something about Claudine Gay. Yes, I wasn't terribly impressed with the way that she handled herself before and after her testimony in front of Congress. So, it is what it is. Thanks.
Yeah, keep those people out of our country, man. They don't love our country. TJ,
okay, sorry, but why there was a queue. That's okay. Sky, did you want to?
Let me get in that queue at the end, please.
I'll add you, baby. Sky, are you there?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm probably the only person in this room that actually worked in the World Trade Center. And I work for Sun Microsystems, and I will pay any anybody in this room $100 cash if they out what I'm saying right now. So you can DM me money. I just want to talk to you and tell you that on September 10th, on Monday, there were about 45 to 50 guys wearing black suits with blue sunglasses that had their little names and their name tags that said thegame.com. Now, these people disappeared, but if you watch the 9/11 documentary and you see that every floor was detonated and disappeared, that's it. Gone. So you can DM me.
They exploded. You think they exploded explosives on each floor as it came down?
100%. I worked there. I'm the only person in this room that worked in the building. I've been on this clubhouse thing from day one. I was here with Board Ape Yacht Club. I've been on everything with everybody else.
I think you are 150.
No, I'm getting the $100.
275%. 275% full of shit.
Yeah, it's.
I don't
Okay.
know what.
Well, Sky, were you done with your contribution, or did you want to know anything else?
It was a
Okay,
game
I
company.
appreciate it.
It's a marketing.
Oh, so it's interesting. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. Don't do it, John. Don't do it. See, this is why cues are important, but also why we have to not necessarily a cue, but if we if we just respected each other, the person that I wanted to respond to, she's gone now, and I'm so sad about that because I really wanted to add something. And what I wanted to add was the stuff that she was talking about was Guantanamo. I'm surprised that nobody brought it up before me. I was hoping that somebody would. But if you guys remember, America did largely understand what was happening in Guantanamo, and we were pretty upset about it. Actually, President Obama ran on ending Guantanamo Bay, if you remember. His whole spiel was to end Guantanamo Bay, to close it down, if you remember. Okay, and many of us were in support of it because we understood that there were things that were going on, that the habeas corpus, the what was it called, the indefinite detentions, all of this, that it was messed up. Okay, we did recognize it. We
Written a portion of a large chapter of the autobiography being almost abducted by Scientologists.
Hold on, did you say
Almost
autobiography?
How do you be almost?
Yes, he did see he did.
Escape.
Autobiography. Yep, that's right.
What happened to make it almost?
I escaped.
Well, I got a question, Otter.
Jesus, that's great.
I think I don't know if this is right, but it seems to me that Scientology people, they usually go after people who are like, they have some influence, or they're like celebrities, or they're rich, or something like that, and or they're like a scientist maybe, and like I don't know, like I guess sometimes they'll capture people and then they put them in this thing they call the hole, or
whole trial and error. But I really wanted Dr. Love to hear about that because we do, as Americans, respect habeas corpus. We don't want people to be indefinitely detained, and that is why the country of the United States we ended up electing President Obama to make sure that our civil liberties and that human rights were upheld. And I'm sorry that she didn't get to hear that.
But not that country didn't all feel that way, Bima. And the Patriot Act, when I said it passed 98 to 0, it also had an 85% approval rating from the country after 9/11. Our country wanted,
yes.
Yeah,
right.
our country wanted those people detained. I mean, we wanted profiling. We chose for that in our country. The Patriot Act morphed into the new Freedom Act that actually sunsetted right at COVID.
They were secular.
The
They
new
believed in
Freedom
God
Act
too.
took away. You're right. It took away some of the surveillance. I mean, less surveillance, but took away some of the
They were
more
ancient Greeks. I believe in God. You stupid fuck.
problematic surveillance capabilities.
Yeah.
But essentially, the country was behind Gitmo then,
Yeah,
and
there's no
behind
history of fucking
putting them
secular
away.
humanists in any
And
area of history except in like
your
fucking
position
1960s, you idiot.
is the position of the people that elected Obama, but there was also half the country that felt
You believe in
differently
God?
and wanted Gitmo to
They
stay.
felt differently, but the
Yeah,
Senate
you believe in
Does
God.
KK actually lived
KK lived near, but the
KK
Senate
lived there,
Intelligence
yeah.
Report
You
led
hear
by
about it.
Kerry Staffer, John Kiriakou, proved that the United States had conducted a torture program
I
for
remember
about
that.
10 years.
I remember that, and Beamer's right. I mean, there were lots of problems with it, but there were also a lot of Americans that didn't want it closed. I really wish KK was here because she could tell you firsthand what it was like there. But there was mixed feelings in the country because some of the people were not fully over 9/11 and wanted them to stay locked up. But I think the fact that the country was split, and Obama didn't really change it.
Well, I just looked it up. Obama signed an executive order. Gee, where have I heard of a president signing an executive order before?
13492.
He signed an executive order to close it, but then Congress, exercising, I guess, the will of the people, one might say, kept it open. So what he ran on, what a shock. As always happens, candidates promise things, and then when it comes down to the brass tacks, it stayed open. So that's what happened.
It stayed open. How long did it last? You said it stayed open. How long did it last?
It's still open.
Open.
It is strategic. It is.
Can you show us evidence? You don't took it from your mouth.
KK lived there.
No,
You want
we're not.
evidence? Like you're
Gitmo
serious?
I lived in
has been a
my
possession
father.
of the United States since the Spanish-American War. It's been a naval base for the United States for the last 80 to 90 years. It's a piece that we control and that we store enemy combatants in. Enemy combatants are judged by military units. You don't have to like that, but at least if you're going to criticize us, do me a favor, memorize the shit we do first before you tell us we're wrong.
Because you sound like a pussy.
No. I'm asking you to specifically to know what you're talking about. I'm asking you specifically to know what you're talking about the American system before you go ahead and pronounce it.
Yeah, I get
Let me ask you this.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Nia, if you come and attack Americans on our soil, you can go there yourself.
Emotional.
Enjoy
Yeah, this is about
nice weather.
Look at America. Look at them.
Fucking Americans.
You want to come and attack us on our soil?
You just kind of dumb. You just
What
stupid.
soil? What soil?
You want to
What
come and
soil?
attack
Soil, the one
Americans?
that you're
You
on.
can go. It's really nice
Send
weather.
your IP address.
Oh yeah, I will actually be up and roll like this. This is only a fucking app. This is so stupid. Listen, you guys need to do your research.
Look at that terrorist.
No, I don't need
Did
to
you hear that
lecture
terrorist?
somebody from the day with no idea how American government works.
I'll get what?
Yeah, Naya, would you like, hold on a second. Naya, would you like to make a comment? Okay, I want to elaborate. B, right? B. I'm not coming for Americans, by the way. Just know that, guys. I'm not coming for Americans. I genuinely Americans. Big. Listen. Can you put a muzzle on it, bro? Like seriously, honestly, like I ain't gonna beef with you. Like honestly, I'm not even trying to play around. To all due respect, guys, American, you guys are we're all human. But I'm just saying, guys, can you guys do your research? You generally, okay, guys, honestly. Let's do the emoji thing, right? Hold on. Do you generally think, right? Alan, just let her finish. Let her finish out. And nine,
It doesn't exactly
could you, not Alan, just wait, Alan.
Well, that
We want to have a conversation, and nine, would you please?
Basically, you generally think, right? I'm talking to the road, people like B, Abby, and like people that actually, we're having a conversation. Human people, like actual people that have feelings and that are beautiful. Anyways, long story short, do you generally think that Muslims like corrupted America? Honestly, guys.
Correct.
And without helping,
No. What?
do you generally think?
We think that they flew their
This is
planes
gaslighting.
into our twin towers in New York. Is that your question? Are you asking? Do we believe that?
You can elaborate on that too.
Well, I'm confused what your question is.
Yeah,
Do
to
you
corrupt
think that they
that's
corrupted by attacking us on September 11th?
Abby, I asked a simple question, darling. I didn't ask two questions. I asked a question. You asked a question.
Oh, what's
You asked a question.
Weirdo somewhere. Hollywood, Paris, those seem like places.
Statement that he's not trying. I mean, we already have a chip act, so you don't need chip act 2.0.
We're not disagreeing. I'm saying that he's
vulnerable in certain ways as explorers or questioners and like uncertain about their identity.
I think it was actually pretty
Like fucking, like they're that's the majority right there. The fucking then there's the Shia, and then there's all these little sub denominations that fucking go outside of the orthodox, I guess, concept of like what Islam is. It's like a question for you, for the Christian. Where are all the regular people? Are they fucking not in that room right now? Dude, that room got nuked. So nobody's in there. I guess they all fucking went somewhere else. I see. It looks like Crimsonite's in this room.
Go back! Please, turn around and go back to your mother. Bridge, we have a hostage situation at exit B. Bridge, this is Lieutenant Yar. Disregard. Situation is under control.
Some of them.
By order of the captain, you are confined to security.
No, I was so crazy. There was
I thought for a minute we had a problem.
Oh.
Yes, it looked like Chorus was going to hold that little girl as a hostage.
That is not our way. Cowards take hostages. Cleaners do not.
If you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about him acting. You shape the way he sees himself and the world. Why does not America? That's crazy. Have you spoken to Justin before? Charles, have you spoken to Justin before? A while ago. Yo, what's going on, Justin? How you doing?
Not much, just making some content on my Instagram.
Dude, do you still believe that the Bible's a science fiction book?
Science? No, I believe it's a history book, and it's accurate with history.
Wait, do you think like Adam and Eve and all that shit happened?
Of course, just
Yeah,
like
but like God's in space though. So like, why are you black, Justin, and I'm white? Like, how did that shit happen?
Well, it happened because God front-loaded us with genetic diversity from the beginning. So,
like, what color was Adam and Eve?
Well, I suspect that they were red, because that's the best. Yeah, because the term Adam or man means red earth. So, I mean, if there's any hint or clue, it would most likely look red.
So you know about like regressive and
dominant genes, right?
Well, sure, but I mean,
So like, why are there white people at all if Adam and Eve is the kid? Like, there would be basically no white people.
No, so the genetic diversity suggests that there's many options or combinations.
No, I know, but like, okay, I'm gonna just pretend that your thing makes sense, right? Okay, so Adam and Eve has kids, right? They're red, but they've got the black gene in them, the Asian gene, the white gene, right? All these genes in them.
Right.
And what I'm saying is like, you know that the black gene is dominant over the white gene, right?
I mean, let's say that's okay.
Do you know this is just a fact? If
yeah,
a white woman and a black man have sex, and they have 4 kids, the chances are that at least 3 of them, on average, are going to be black or at least darker skin, and then one of them might be like lighter or like white, right?
Okay. They just populate. All they have to do is reproduce with the same kind of genetics, and of course,
so human beings, so we evolved from a common ancestor, right? And then those ancestors split off. So there was many different ancestors from a like primate ancestor that all split off.
You don't have to know that part would be black and white. There was no black and white when you're talking about primates.
No, but what I'm saying is like they split off, right? And then continue to have like kids from like the genetic pigment that developed. But you're saying that the genetic pigment was right. But you're saying that DNA, the human being DNA, with all the genes and the DNA like front loaded, as you said, with the code to be the different races, was already there. We don't believe that. Right? We think that it evolved. We think that it evolved in different regions, right? Like so in Europe, for example, in the cold, right? They didn't need the darker pigment in the skin, whereas like black people needed that in Africa, right, to deal with the beating sun, like in the equator. That's why you see like in the equator darker skinned people typically.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes sense on our theory. On our theory, that makes complete sense. But for your theory, I'm just curious, like why you think there's so many white people.
Again, so I would start this from the races would start from Noah. So of course, because they're front loaded with so many different potential ways that the gene could express itself. In other words, some things would turn off, other things would turn on based on their environment. Of course, the same scenario, based on where they lived, the things they ate, and so on, their skin will actually adapt to that.
So you believe in evolution then?
Well, yeah, we all believe in evolution. Just I believe in that a lot of it happened in a very rapid way.
Yeah, you believe in more macroevolution than the average evolutionist. It's a little bit crazy, but okay. Yeah. So you think that like there were these red-skinned people who continued to have red-skinned people until Noah, and then Noah had like a black kid and a white kid and an Asian kid, and then they like all spread off to like after the different countries and races of the world. That's what you think?
Yeah. So and actually even before the flood, there's perhaps some way more different colors. Like indigo, orange.
Were there purple people?
All that would have been as diverse as.
There was purple people.
Yeah, it's just like all the fish in the sea. Like you don't laugh at the idea that there's all kinds of colors of fish.
Right, because I see fish that are all kinds of colors.
Fun fact.
Right.
The Canaanites or Phoenicians were called purple people. But I think it's because of the dye, though. But
it's probably possible. So I think that before the flood.
Like, okay, so let's think about this though. So let's say like we're gonna call him Whitey, the Noah's kid who was white, right? Well, he would have the DNA of like the full code from Adam and Eve in him, right? So then when he's starting to have kids, why wouldn't his nation end up being predominantly black?
Well, again, because they have so much diversity, the randomness, like
but remember, you said it's front loaded in them, and it's in all of them, right? Like all the DNA is there, so like the black gene, like quote unquote, like I sound like a race realist saying this shit, but like you know what I mean, like the genetic code, right, for the black pigmentation is already there.
It would make sense if you allow me to explain it more than one or two sentences. So because the potential for them to turn to any race was already there, it would only come based on need at that time. Eventually, over time, because the genetics started to, fall off, those who had, rich genetics started to die out, and the gene pool got narrow. People got locked into their race categories, and they changed more slowly. So, where at one point, let's say a black father can give birth to white kids, Asian kids, just they would just look extremely diverse. Eventually, it became less and less diverse within each race. So it came based on, at that time, the weather patterns and also the things they ate, their skin color, their teeth, everything, the bone structure would adapt really quickly within one generation. Over time, within, let's say, 200, 300, 400 years, degradation happened really quickly, and people got genetically locked into their, their racial codes.
I mean, I guess, how come you can't marry the two together? Like, God made humans migrated to different areas, then they started looking different.
Well, I'm asking because Justin is saying that Adam and Eve were front-loaded with all, the genetic code for all of the different races. So what I would expect to see, if that was the case, is that when, white people have kids, some of them might come out black or Asian.
Okay, I got you, Charles. You ever notice how when you put pigs back in the wild, they start reverting back into looking like boars over a couple of generations? Like, they start growing tusks. So even though we see these pink little pigs with the cute little tails, the genetics of wild boar is still in them, right? But you got, in order to get triggered, you got to put them in particular environments. And then over several generations, they're going to lose that pink skin. They're going to grow fur.
But then how come when we put black people in Europe, they don't turn white or start having white kids?
It depends on how many generations. If you put a black person in Europe, come back 1,000 years later.
But they also have to keep having sex with black people. Do you think that then after 400 years they're going to have a white kid?
Even if they're having sex with black people in Europe, in that climate, come back in 1,000 or 2,000 years and see what they're looking like. They're not going to look like what they were looking like when they first got here.
I know, but I'm asking you. You think they're going to have a Caucasian kid after 400 years?
I don't. All I can say is they're not going to look like what they looked like when they got there. Black people in America don't look like the slaves that came over here in the 1600s.
No, but
we don't look like them.
They still look black, though.
So, well, what I'm saying is, if you look at the facial features of those old black people in the 1700s, 1600s, we don't look like them right now. And that's just a couple decades, like a couple hundred years.
Yeah, but that's not my point. My point is that you look exactly like your ancestors. My point is that you're still black.
No, but here's the thing.
You turn white. After 400 years of slaves, after 400 years of slavery in America, you never turn white.
Now, as an evolutionist, I thought you would be agreeing with what I'm saying. It's like, okay, the dog is the wolf. The dog and a wolf have a common ancestor, but if you go back further enough, there's going to be differences. What I'm saying is,
I'm not saying you don't evolve.
Right? I'm saying, just like how you say a furry creature turned into a whale eventually.
We don't say that. No, we don't say that.
Okay, so
what happened to him?
Why
do Christians think the evolution is Pokemon? I'll never fucking understand this. It blows my mind. That's not how evolution. We don't fucking put a pineapple and a whale together and then they turn into a wolf or some shit. That's not what happens. There's common ancestors, right? And then there's speciation among the common ancestors. For example, a wolf and a bear, right? They have a common ancestor.
An aspiring creature
that was similar to both of them. It's not that the wolf transforms into a bear like fucking Pokemon.
Right, but you still was saying that the reason why white people are the way they are is because of the place that they chose to be at, as far as
among other things, yeah, it's a mix of genetics and environmental factors. But what I'm saying is, like, on your view, you would expect like a hyper evolution almost, where like black people would just randomly give birth to white and Asian kids. Because you're saying all the DNA is already there.
Yeah, and I'm saying over time, that people get genetically locked. They get that, like, their gene pool.
What does that mean to you that they're genetically locked? What does that mean?
So they lose their diversity over time, and as they lose their diversity, their combinations, the amount of different ways they could change starts to like slow down. So you don't, like, at first, like in the beginning, Noah, they could just have black kids, white kids, yellow kids, all kinds of different kids rapidly. Then let's say 1,000 years, those, like, that line, they couldn't just produce like anything different between a black and a light-skinned person. It would be an anomaly for that to happen. So they end up like producing similar kind of
so you think, on your Christian view, you think diversity shrunk, but like for fish, for example, like the diversity just massively exploded into all of these different kind of fish?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was because the diversity was already put in. It was easier for them to just speciate a lot faster in the beginning. As of now, it's harder for things to speciate without it dying so fast.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with speciation too. I'm just saying, like, on your view, it just seems like bizarre. I mean, I guess you could just say God did it. I guess you can always say that.
It's not bizarre.
I guess you can always say that, you know.
Yeah, if God front-loaded, you know, the person with, let's say, the Iron Man suit of like all the adaptive abilities, let's say, in case you're in this situation, then this will turn on. In case you're in this situation, this will turn on.
No, but you're saying that it turned off, like, to the point where it can't come back. That's why after 400 years of black people having kids in America, they haven't had any Asian or white kids or whatever, right? And then God just like flip that switch off, or
no, it's time. So just like if I gave you a perfect car, right? The mileage or the amount of, you know, stress the car goes through, it becomes more stiff. It's not as flexible as before. So the mileage that humans as a race, you know, went through, they started losing a lot of their abilities. Not because God just snapped his finger. It's just that's how the nature of degradation is. You start to lose things.
But then also in other cases, we also have gotten like taller and bigger and stronger
in very incremental ways. So it's just like a stock market chart where it's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, yeah, we start up really high, and then the stocks drop really far down, but it still goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
But like, why would God create us like that? Doesn't it seem strange?
No, he created us perfect. It's just that he created us with the potential to actually break down.
Well, that doesn't sound perfect. If I gave you a perfect car, and I said,
an aspiring entrepreneur decided to get the whip.
Yeah, after you drive it, if you crash it, if I give you a perfect car that has no problems, it's perfect until you crash into the wall.
No,
an aspiring entrepreneur decided to get the website Linda.
Yeah, so if a person who's driving the car has free will and they don't take care of the car, they don't put, you know, they don't change the oil and all that stuff, then yeah, there's going to be little, you know, minor problems with it until it starts to lose its flexibility. It's, you know, the alignment has to be fixed all the time. That's just how it is when a perfect person, or you get a perfect body, but you don't make perfect choices with the body.
I mean, it just sounds like it was perfect, then we wouldn't like just decay for no reason.
Oh, did you just hear what he just broke down with the car? You didn't understand anything of what he just said?
No, it's just a bunch of nonsense because it's like
it's not. Hold on. It's perfect at the start, so you have to maintain the perfectness.
Regal, why are you just dropping people out?
I can't stand. Hold on. Sorry, dude. My bad. I thought the two of you were having a conversation. I was like somebody else got on.
He wasn't dominating that much or anything, but anyway, it's your room. But the point is that, yeah, I think you're defining perfection as
God tier perfection where you think it's impossible
No,
for
I'm not
anything
even
to go
saying.
wrong.
I'm not even saying that we would need to be like omniscient and omnipotent or any of that. I'm just saying like if we were perfect, we wouldn't just decay from just like existing.
What's the difference between that and omnipotence?
Being all powerful. I'm not saying we would be all. We're perfect in like what we can do, but I'm saying like you're saying like God made us so we're gonna like have cancer as like little babies and stuff like that because
No, not saying
like.
I'm saying
Well, I mean that is
perfect
what you
world.
believe, right? Because like sin entered or something, so we're not perfect anymore.
Right. So sin broke things down from the perfection that he made originally.
Okay, so then we're not perfect then, right? We're
not perfect at the moment.
We're these sin-stricken creatures. That's why like babies have cancer, and, you know, all
Exactly.
these effects and stuff. Okay, so we're not perfect then.
We're not perfect. The earth was made perfect in the beginning. Adam was made perfect. He sinned, and then he broke the perfection.
Wait. If Adam was made perfect and Eve was made perfect, then why were they failing in their reasoning abilities? I feel like
they chose. No, it's just a choice.
Well, they were tricked by the serpent too, right?
Well, Eve was tricked, but
Eve wasn't perfect then.
Well, it's still a choice. You can still choose to
be tricked.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Well, I mean, you have different paths of to go on. If someone says take this route, and you say, well, I'm going to trust you, then you decided to actually believe the story that the person told you. If I said I was
going to give you $100 or $1, which one would you take?
Well, I would take the $100 if I.
Right, and then I got you. Actually, that $100 is dynamite. You exploded. You stupidly, freely chose the wrong one.
I did because.
Okay, so should you be responsible for that because I tricked you?
Well, yeah, because I trusted you.
But you didn't choose to do the wrong thing. You chose to get $100. I'm the one that tricked you. I'm the one that caused like the injury, right?
But I'm the one that decided to have faith in you.
But I know. But what I'm saying is like you didn't choose to be tricked. In that case, you chose to get $100.
I chose to actually believe, and that's where my.
To be tricked. You didn't want to be tricked. You wanted $100.
That's correct, but that's the risk of free will, is that you're making a choice and you're making a risk.
So what I'm saying is like she wasn't able to use her faculties, even though she's a perfect person, supposedly, to discern that she was going to be tricked, right? She trusted the serpent thing over God, which means she clearly had like intellectual faculties.
She actually said, God said this and that, don't even touch it. So she had the option to actually say no.
Yeah, but she reasoned that the snake, right, was more believable or was more worthy of listening to than God. So she didn't have perfect faculties. She wasn't perfect either.
No, I mean, with perfect faculties, it doesn't mean that you will always make the right choices. It just means that you have the potential to make the perfect choice as well as the imperfect choice.
So it's perfect to be able to do an imperfect thing and not reason properly?
If that's free will. Yeah, if you got free will, then you're working as you could. You're working as you should, in the sense of being able to truly choose between right and wrong. If you don't have free will, then you truly are not a perfect agent. Agency means that you have control over something.
Wait, but God is an agent with free will, right?
Yeah.
Can God sin?
I believe he could. Really? In the sense of, well, yeah, I mean, in the sense of Jesus, because of the Son of God, he could actually blind himself as far as like all the principles, all the things that he does know, and say, okay, now I'm going to test myself and go by the law. He could actually break the law just by choice. He just chose not to.
To be clear, you think that God could sin? You think that it's possible for God to sin?
In the person of the Son, which is why Jesus actually being tested of the devil was a real test. It wasn't a fake test.
Well, I'd also like to just point out one thing. Not everyone's a Trinitarian. So there's a lot of Christians out there who don't believe Christ was God in the flesh. So also keep that in mind.
No, but like Justin, so like, okay. So it wouldn't make the test fake if somebody's faculties were just set to 100% never get the wrong answer. It's still a real test. But I've never heard a Christian say that God could sin.
Well, you haven't met. I guess you haven't heard me.
Like Christians say things that are like God is the good. So the idea of him sinning would be incoherent. It would be against his nature. Right? I've never heard a Christian say God could sin.
Well, I believe Jesus could sin, and I believe Jesus was God. Now, of course, Toast disagrees with me there, but I guess you're asking me of my views. So
no, I just think that. I mean, sure, you could say that. Yes, it's crazy to me. And it's also crazy to me to think that like Eve was perfect, but like something about her made her want to listen to a snake over God. Like it sounds like to me that she was like very mentally deficient. She was like naive, like a child. She was tricked by a snake over like the all power of God.
Yeah, again, I think what ends up happening is that you either fall into this pit of defining perfection as God tier, like in impossibility, where you can't possibly do wrong, or you can't possibly choose a different route other than the thing that you're programmed to do or told to do. So I think that's a faulty definition of perfection.
I just don't even know what it means to be perfect that you get tricked by a snake.
Well, I mean,
it was never said that Eve was perfect in her.
Adam and Eve is making that argument that she's a perfect human.
Well, when you say perfect faculty, then you have to consider faculty in the sense of knowing everything. Faculty is in the sense of.
I'm not saying she needed that. Like, did Eve have the relevant information to make an informed decision?
Yeah, and
she
just
perfect. Okay. And was Eve a rational agent?
I mean, sure, you can say rational.
Okay. So, in what way then would the perfect being with perfect faculties, right, who understood the variables, like you have God who created her, the all power, the all good, the all everything, and this fucking snake who's talking to her, right? In what way then would she, as a rational being, fail and be a perfect person?
Can we talk about the rationality? Can we say she was irrational in that moment? She did something.
So she's not perfectly right.
So she's not. Yeah, no human is perfectly rational. It's a human quality. What makes you human is that you are not perfectly rational at all times.
Okay, so she's not perfect then.
She had relevant information. She was an agent. She had free will. Yeah, I mean, she made a wrong. She knowingly made the wrong decision. Vis-a-vis the irrationality. Other than that, she was like perfect in her like sort of like her body, her genes, her like her physical form. But she had the brain of a human, as in like you can be irrational as a human. That's what humanity is.
Like she didn't have like blemishes on her skin, or she didn't have cancer.
Well, yeah. But perfect is a tough word. But to say that she was like perfectly rational. Clearly not, because she did something completely irrational.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm just like, I just don't see in what way she's like perfect in any sense.
Well, even okay. So imagine a perfect human. Could a perfect human be able to see an optical illusion?
Like on my worldview?
Yeah, in your worldview. Let's say you designed a perfect human. Would there ever exist an optical illusion in his mind?
I think the idea of perfection on like my worldview wouldn't really be coherent.
Well then how could it be coherent for my worldview?
Because for your worldview it would be just living up to the standard of God, because God is like the objective standard for what not saying that the human would have to be God. I'm not saying that, but like whatever God defines as the standard of like goodness and perfection to be would be what is perfect. Like for me, like if you were like, Charles, what would your ideal human like be perfect? Like for me, like they would see the optical illusion, right? Because like they would still have like human eyes, so it would be like weird to say like they're still human in that sense, right? But like they would be able to discern it anyway, which like I said would be kind of incoherent. So like I wouldn't use the phrase like perfect in that way. Because I don't think that like would make a lot of sense from like my like secular view, but your view is just in accordance with whatever God is defining as perfect.
Right, and I'm not even
it seems like you're claiming that you're using my definition when you're not really using my definition. Even if I was to go by that simplistic definition, being perfect is living up to God's standards. Yes, that means she was living up to God's standards.
She did.
To the point. Yeah, up to the point that she decided not to. So that's perfection.
She wasn't
cannot
perfect.
stop.
She was a being who was gonna not want to do what God wanted her to do.
Okay, so it's like this. I make a perfect circle, right? So whatever makes a perfect circle, it's perfect. Then I tear it. I rip it apart. Doesn't mean that because it's torn now that it was never perfect.
No, but what I'm saying is like Eve, like what it would mean for God to have a perfect being is one who's going to choose the good and make it like proper discernment.
And see, and that's the definition I don't go by.
Because
so when you're saying that
Jesus is the perfect being, right? Like,
but he couldn't. All right, see, and that's the thing. Using my definition, you're using your definition that you don't even use in your worldview.
No, I'm saying even on Christianity, like, how would she be perfect if she's a failure?
Well, okay, so whatever Christianity says that, I'm disagreeing with those two. So you can't use their definition on me that I disagree with.
I mean, literally, like, she's the reason sin entered the world because she committed the first sin.
Right.
So I never said Christianity is going to say that, right?
No. Of course, we say that, but we're not saying that perfection means that you can never sin. It just means that you were perfect until you sinned, or up to the point you sinned. So that's perfection. You're defining that you're defining perfection to mean you can never sin. I'm defining perfection to mean that you are the ideal until you stop being the ideal.
Yeah, you can define it that way. That's fine. I don't think any Christian would really define it that way. Like they would say Jesus is perfect, but Eve isn't perfect because she is a being who was capable and decided to rebel against God, right?
Well, we have a clear example in the Bible about at least the cherubim. It says you were perfect in thy ways until iniquity was found in thee. So that's a clear scripture of the term perfection, and then it says until iniquity was found in you. So I'm following the pattern of scripture. Whatever these other Christians are saying, fudge them. Forget them. Well, yeah, fish them. As Andrew would say.
Yeah, I just don't think any one would use that term in that way. But I mean, I guess you can.
I
don't think most Christians would say Eve was perfect.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you have to bring these most Christians in, but I disagree with most Christians anyway about a lot of stuff. So, hey, you could be right, but at least just here, this makes sense within my worldview. In your worldview, the term perfection doesn't make sense. It starts to not make sense somewhere. So, perfection would have to be category based on like it can never be a universal thing. Like a person is perfect. In what way? Like, is he perfectly sized? Does he have perfect vision? What is perfect vision? Is it 20/20? Is it 30/30? Is it 500?
It's just like imagine like God creates a baby and he like knows his baby is gonna grow up to like mass murder 100 people. It's like, oh, well, this being was perfect until he decided to give into his sin. Like I don't just like. And then when you're talking back about that person, I just think anybody would say, oh yeah, that was like a perfect being until he free willy decided to mass murder people. Like he obviously had like a defect to begin with in his reasoning and moral capacity.
Charles, can I ask you a question? Sorry, Justin. Did you say before like Christians who don't believe Jesus is God?
Did I? Toast. Yeah, Toast doesn't think Jesus is God.
Did he say that there are Christians who don't believe Jesus is God?
Yeah, there's a lot of Christians who believe that. That's true.
A Christian who don't believe Jesus is God?
Well, we would debate that they're not Christians, but they would think that there are Christians too. But
no, I know, but Christian. I mean, if you say you believe in God and then you call yourself like Muhammadan, like in the name of a man, how does that work? Because we should call ourselves like followers of God, not followers of a man, right? No one called themselves Moses. I'm a Moselite. You know, no, they were following the true God, but what Moses taught is nothing to do with Moses because he was a mere man. Why we call ourselves Christians is because we believe Jesus is our Lord and Savior. He's true God, true man. That's why we call ourselves Christian. But anyway, that's a new one for me.
It shouldn't be. There's a lot of rooms that talk about, at least on my timeline. There's always Godhead debates, and they always say the same thing. A lot of Hebrew Israelites don't believe Jesus is God. But anyway, this topic descended from genetic diversity, my view of how all these different races came about. And yeah, I think Noah, he pretty much was just one out of the millions of different races that existed before the flood. Like the genetic diversity that existed before the flood is all gone. So all we have is Noah's line of diversity. And so we just have like shades of brown when, if let's say there was, 10 more people that was in the ark. Let's say there being 8, there's 10 people that went into the ark. We probably would have a different diversity where like maybe there would be blue skinned people or orange skinned people. Like the fish in the sea, the diversity can be in various different colors. So it would be the same for humans. It's just that only 8 of us survived out of that huge population of people.
Yeah, and then your idea is like they spread out to the different countries, and then the genetics of like blackness just disappeared basically when they went to Europe.
Diversity, yeah. Also, probably some of that, but mostly the diversity of like, I guess, creating just spontaneous black people started to die out a lot faster over time. So because at first I thought, okay, sometimes it's the weather, and I believe it is the weather sometimes. But then I have to explain why the Eskimos are very brown in cold weather when they should be whiter than the Europeans. And yeah, it only makes sense if at some point their genetics got locked, so the weather didn't do as much change. The environmental change wasn't strong enough to cause their genetics to like express itself differently.
But before that, all people around the Earth were just black, or you said you thought they were brown?
No, I believe that they were. So we have to think from Noah's time, not Adam's time. So from Noah's time, it was various different like colors and looks, just different shades of brown, really. But it wasn't just black or just white, or it was a variation between each family of races. Eventually, they just got locked. I think Kush, he's like the third.
You think it got locked by the environment, but then now that doesn't happen anymore?
No, it got locked by the genetics. Well, it's both and, but the genetics, as you begin to how do you say you do a lot of inbreeding, right? Of course, some of your genetics being more diverse starts to dwindle because you're just copying with the same kind of genetics, and the other more diverse things or things that can make you look more different starts to fall off to the wayside. Like, have you ever seen that tribe of people where they have like literally fork fingers and fork like feet? No, like they're just Google it, where their hands are so mutated that they literally got like 3 fingers on each hand, and their toes is also like just like that. It's like morphed into 2 giant like toes, and that whole tribe is like that. So it's like they can't change back to having like 5 fingers on each hand and so on, because they just kind of weeded out the diversity. So just keep on doing that. It's just keep compiling on itself. The environment is not going to help as much as it used to. Yeah, just let me look for those. I have to look their names up. The tribe with 4 fingers.
I mean, like I was saying, right? I mean, I guess anything's possible with God, right? So I don't really have an argument for you. It just seems a bit bizarre that it was all there, and then it disappeared from the environmental pressures, but then now environmental pressures can't change the races anymore, but we can change the races with genetic mixing. But the genetics were there, but then they aren't, and now they're there again. I guess, like I said, God could have done it. It's real.
Well, I'm saying that this is easily seen with nature. Yeah, I mean, let's say we were to, of course, add more diversity to like certain animals. Like, so you get a bunch of dogs that have, it's from all kinds of backgrounds, and you start crossbreeding them. Like, you make a pit bull mated with a Rottweiler, and then you make that kind of mutt, mix in with another mixture or another kind of mutt, and then before you know it, like 2 or 3 generations, that super mutt is going to have so much diversity that if it was to just mate with another dog, it's going to have all these different, I guess, options or different ways to like express its genetics in its children. So, but if you keep on like interbreeding, like having the dogs mate with their siblings, eventually it's going to like lose the diversity that it had, like generation after generation. It's only going to make one kind of dog, and
I understand that example with the dogs, but like we can create the diversity now with our genetics, with different genetics. But like you were saying that all the genetics were together in Adam and Eve, and then they split off in this big, beautiful, diverse rainbow of people. And then everyone had the genes to create all these different people up until, because everyone was committing, on your view, everyone was committing incest and doing that. And then it just forced everyone to, only be like these kinds, or like from just the breeding, you're saying?
Well, just the breeding, I'm saying what?
Or the environment, or you're saying both? Like that forced everyone to be, white or Asian or black or whatever.
It's both and. So it's just that one is not as powerful as it used to be. The environmental pressures isn't as strong in like guiding in which way we would go as fast. Now, sure, the environmental pressures, like the things we eat, it could change our like bone structure, like if our face, maybe make us look handsome, ugly, whichever, within one generation, right? However, as far as like our skin tones, that may change a little slower. If we just left it to the environment, it may take 1,000 years, 2,000 years for our skin to change. If let's say you just threw a bunch of black people in Antarctica somewhere and just left them there, don't add no white people there, it may take 2,000 years for that to work. Where in the beginning, all it took was just one generation, maybe 50 years, for people to turn from white to black.
You guys believe in like a crazy amount of macroevolution, even though you guys say you only believe in microevolution.
Yeah, micro. Yeah. So in other words, rapid.
No, but it would be macro on your view actually, because the amount of diversity, like the explosion of diversity from evolution, would have been crazy. Like,
well, I think
we think this happened over billions of years. You think it happened like in a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Like
so
I said, I don't have much of an argument against any of this. It's a fine story, I guess, because like I said, with God, you could just say God made it to be this way, right? So.
Well, sure, yeah. But yeah, we wouldn't use the term macro because macro assumes over long periods of time. But if you're just saying a lot of change, like for example, viruses could change very quickly. It depends on how much you think.
No, usually when people say macro, they mean like the speciation, like the change in speciation
over long periods of time. Yeah, you don't leave out the long periods of time. We're saying that it happens very quickly, and even within our micro speciation, we still believe it's still within the same kind. So it doesn't like turn into like an elephant or something like that.
Well, we don't think animals turn into elephants either.
Yeah,
over time. No.
You believe in common ancestry.
Yeah, as a common ancestor. Yeah, it doesn't Pokemon evolve. It's not like, two dogs fuck and then an elephant appears in the morning.
Obviously, but I'm just saying, you just put the term over millions of time, they have the same common ancestry, let's say fish or sea life. That fish, of whatever kind it was, eventually, over millions of years, into an elephant.
No.
Well, not that exact fish, but its descendants.
No. That's not even correct either. So, you have the eukaryotes, right? And the eukaryotes turn into different, slightly more complex creatures, right?
Which is an elephant. Is a very complex.
No. It doesn't go eukaryote, fish, elephant, right? It goes
eukaryote over millions of years.
No, but it's not the fish. The fish continues to be a fish forever. That's what you guys keep not getting. No. But
you're not saying that the fish
never stops being a fish. They keep being fish forever. Okay.
Yeah, so we're talking about its descendants.
No, but I know, but its descendants never become elephants ever. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to get.
So okay. So you don't think that the descendants of you were never in the sea? Your ancestors were never in the sea?
Yeah, some of them were, yes.
Okay, so then obviously the creatures that were in the sea, they evolved to be land creatures.
Yeah, and some of them evolved to be fish. But the land, okay, so the elephant has a common ancestor, right, which is a land creature. There are different land creatures that, so the law of monophyla, I'm not a science guy per se, but I know a little bit about it. They speciate into different species, a common ancestor. So for example, like I said earlier, the bear and the wolf have a common ancestor, which is a bear-wolf-like creature.
Right, but they all have the common ancestor in the sea.
The fish didn't become a wolf, right?
So wait, you think abiogenesis happened on land and also on the sea? In the sea?
I don't know. I imagine most of it happened in the sea.
Yeah, okay. The story is it all started from the sea.
Abiogenesis is not evolution, though. This is two different.
Okay, do you think that the first cell, let's not say the first primordial soup, right? Do you think that was in the land as well?
No, I imagine it was in. Well, I don't know if it would have been water, but liquid of some kind, like a mix of different chemicals. Yeah.
It all started in the sea, and then they came from the sea.
I know, but the point is that they weren't fish. That's what I'm saying. Fish didn't become elephants.
Well, then how's a skid being a fish?
No. Again, because you have these creatures, right, that they all speciate in different ways. And then they speciate off. Right. So the fish, once it speciated into a fish, to the complex creature of a fish, it kept being a fish. Right.
What about the walking fish?
The fish have a common ancestor with a different fish. Right? And then that has a common ancestor with a different aquatic-like creature, which is a different ancestor with, something going all the way back to a eukaryote. We all have a common ancestor in the eukaryote. Right?
Okay, so then
So a fish never becomes an elephant ever. That's only a Pokemon.
Wait, okay.
That's
So
what I'm trying to get you to see.
why do you think the evolutionists they talk about, they show an illustration of a walking fish, a fish walking on land for the first time?
Because that's a simple way to try to make like third graders understand. That's not accurate.
Understand what? The sea creatures, the fish, walked on land and eventually became land creatures.
No, the amphibian creature, right, diversified into some of them into land creatures, some of them diversified into fish.
Okay, so
you see, they have a common ancestor. So
right.
You and I and the fish and the elephant and the strawberry and the pineapple and fucking the earthworm, right? We all have a common ancestor to go all the way back, right? Which is the eukaryote. But
okay, so we just say Pokemon from eukaryote mode. From the point of a eukaryote, we just the Pokemon evolution from the eukaryote to an elephant, and that will make
what I'm trying to get you to understand is once it speciates, right? The law of monophyla, it remains that thing, right?
We know that. We don't have to keep explaining that.
Okay. So I just need you to understand that a fish will never be an elephant ever, literally. Ever.
Of course, because it dies within a couple of just years.
Like its ancestors won't be elephants either.
Ancestors are before it. You mean its descendants?
Or its descendants, yeah. Its descendants will be elephants.
So then, why don't you just say that about the eukaryotes?
Because the eukaryote evolves.
Oh, so fish don't evolve into anything else?
No, they do. They evolve into fish.
And they don't evolve into anything beyond fish?
They evolve into fish.
So then, okay. So eukaryotes should not evolve into anything beyond eukaryotes.
Yeah, you and I are eukaryotes.
So why is the physics different for the eukaryotes and also different for the fish?
Because, like I said, the law of monophyla is speciated.
Yeah, fish speciate. You believe they speciate?
Yeah, into other fish, not into elephants.
So then, that's what a Christian says about every creature.
Because the elephant came from an elephant-like creature. I don't know what else, probably horses or whatever. Like there was probably an elephant-horse-like thing, right, before, right? That speciated off into horses and into elephants. The way the eukaryote speciated off into different things, right?
Okay.
Into like so there was like mammal-like creatures, things like that.
Okay, it sounds like it sounds like I'm talking you into the way a younger Christian would talk about.
Because you don't understand how.
You just said a fish will not speciate into anything beyond a fish.
It will be a fish, yeah.
Yeah, but then the amphibians, where do you think the amphibians came from? They weren't fish?
They came from some other aquatic-like creature. But not a fish, specifically a fish, category fish that we have.
Okay. I would have to look at I have to Google, did amphibian creatures, evolve from fish? I don't know how would they know the difference if they look the same. If you have a walking fish, a fish that can go on land and hold its breath or just kind of, I don't know, resuscitate itself, I think they call those things fish.
No, an amphibian is not a fish.
No, they're okay. Let me look it up. I want to see if they call those things walking fish.
I mean, yeah, they might say that like shorthand to like help people understand, right?
Well, then I have to ask.
The same way the bear, like when I give the example, when I say the bear wolf-like creature, right? I'm sure they have a name for that, right? But I'm saying, so that creature speciated off into bears and wolves. From there, right, the wolf, right, will diversify into different kinds of wolves, right, and evolution still occurs to this day among these different animals, right? They still evolve and change. And so, if we categorize, like, for example, like, different kind of dogs, right? There's like, they're like prairie dogs, and then there's like other kind of dogs that they actually can't breed So there's like certain kinds of dogs are speciated. We still call them dogs because they have a common ancestor of a dog, right? Even those animals cannot breed anymore. So like the prairie dog, imagine we came up with another name for them. We call them blue blobs, right? And if I just said, look, see, here's a blue blob, right? And you're like, well, that's not a dog, but like it could have evolved into it. It's like, no, because the dog, right, and what we call like the prairie dog, have a common ancestor. They just no longer can breed with each other anymore because they've speciated. You see, that's how it works. It splits off like it's like branches. They don't like form back into some other thing, right, from the direction that they went. Like the fish doesn't become an elephant.
I just simply Googled this, and it said a walking fish evolved from a fish. I asked, did elephants evolve from fish? And it said yes, elephants evolved from fish. So this whole thing, I guess this way of you expressing it just doesn't seem colloquial. It doesn't seem
they're like
normal.
It's an aquatic like creature, not like this particular fish that you would like name.
That's why I said fish. I didn't just say goldfish.
Well, I mean, again, this is like a colloquial way for like the layman to understand it, right? That's why like they give you the little picture of like the swimming creature, right? And then it grows legs and it gets on land and stuff like that. Right? That's like it's an easy way to understand it.
Okay.
Like,
well,
but it's not like a salmon, right? Like the particular fish.
Yeah, it's a common ancestor of them all. So I get it. So, but again, when we're saying this, we're talking about how creatures evolved in the evolutionist way. You believe that the environment actually forms them a little bit, but then the environment starts to lose its power in how it changes or causes the genetics to change.
No, the environment still has huge influence on the genetics. To this day, we've actually seen evolution occur in our lifetimes.
Well, okay.
You know about the mosquitoes? You know about the mosquitoes that got trapped under like the London subway system? Right, do you know about this? This is one of the best examples of evolution that people have. So those mosquitoes actually evolved after the war, right? They got trapped from the bombings of World War II. And they evolved to not be able to breed with the mosquitoes like up above, because mosquitoes can go through generations and generations in just like a day, right? A couple weeks you'll have like done like 100+ generations of mosquitoes. So they evolved more rapidly, right, than like like other animals. And then they would have different like feeding, like what they would feed on and stuff. And then when they tried to reintroduce the populations, they no longer could breed with each other anymore. So like, in our lifetimes, we've seen like insects evolve. You see insects evolve and they develop immunities to pesticides and stuff. That's why like they try to use multiple different pesticides at once. Because if they use just one, eventually after a couple generations, the insects develop immunities to the pesticides. It's not sexy and exciting, again, like Pokemon, but yeah, we see evolution occur in our lifetime. Usually Christians just say, oh, well, the mosquito always had that power deep within it. It just, needed to go 2% or some nonsense. But
I mean, obviously it does, which is why we believe that they are doing it. Like
well, you don't believe that because you also believe that certain animals just go extinct, right? So,
of course, there's survival of the fittest, even within the Christian, paradigm. But we believe that God put up a backup system, an immune system in every person's body.
For some animals, but not for all of them.
Yeah, for all of them. It's just that it doesn't mean that it doesn't guarantee that they're all going to survive. So it's just they're all going to express themselves.
God just made some shitty creatures. So he give them good backup systems.
The best chance in I guess many of these situations. So also it's connected to people's choices, because people's choices are radically different. You can have someone who has the best genetics do something stupid like smoke drugs and do all kinds of lascivious things, and they mess up their chances of having good genes.
There's just some animals.
Same thing with animals.
Yeah, environmental pressure just let them to die, not just to
Well, so that's the thing. With us, we could be like those mosquitoes in the sense of like, if we just let the environment, be the most strongest thing in nature, then yeah,
those things will happen. But because we as a society, we make houses, we actually fight against nature, we can make crops and so on, like nature control over us and manipulation over us becomes lessened. So it changes the animals a little bit more because they can't fight the elements as much as we can. We protect ourselves against the elements. We're clothes, we have technology, we in shelter, we try to use drugs and all kinds of stuff to like fight off the manipulation of nature.
All right, man, I got work in the morning, so I'll give you the last word, but it was at least interesting to hear your theories about the Adam and Eve stuff, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Tom.
Okay, have a good night.
Take the other way. Open the door, please. So for those who are here, I was just on my TikTok, not on my TikTok, my IG, explaining my theory that there's 2 courts in the heavens. Actually, there are 3 courts. It's countless, but the 2 grand courts is the court of Zion or heavenly Zion and the court or the cosmic courts. And I was explaining how the cosmic courts, when it comes to like the war between good and evil, God versus Satan, angels, holy angels versus evil angels, they stand as like the impartial judges between that battle between good and evil. They look at the evidence between both sides. They enforce the rules of engagement, the rules of law, the rules of war between each person, especially here on Earth. And this is the reason why, like, you can't just, like, things don't just happen willy-nilly. Like, you don't just see evil angels just coming and just creating total destruction on Earth whenever they lose or have like they have some kind of situation when they're gonna fail or lose. Like they could have just decided to just destroy cities like Godzilla and make sure that they stand over the entire city of Earth, like some kind of evil Superman. But there's a higher power between. I'm not saying the higher power, but there's an independent power between the angels and the fallen angels that keeps that from happening. Because the whole point is making sure that there is a fair fight between God and Satan. God is already, infinite in power. He is, of course, OP. So it would not be a test of righteousness if he constantly used his powers to strong arm his opponent. He has to have the merit of the argument. Like he has to, he has to win by the merit of his argument. That's what I'm trying to say. And if he does anything such as like miracles, he has to have the right to do it. Not just the power to do it, but he also has to have the right to do it. And same thing even for the devil. He also has to have the right to do certain things. If they don't have the right, then they don't, do certain miracles. So what do you guys think of that? if you guys are here. Or are you guys just using me as, or using this room as background noise? Is everyone asleep?
No, I'm here, Justin. I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, so I wasn't sure. I didn't want to waste my breath too much. Yeah, so I was pausing.
Can you tell me? I mean, I can't talk too much, but can you tell me like what's your view of the early church fathers? Like, what does their word mean to you?
So for the most part, their word is historical legitimacy, in a sense where a good chunk of the things that we claim happened did happen. So as far as like persecution, as far as the events that did transpire, they would be the best at knowing if we're going to make a bet on what happened. They would be the best at knowing. Now, because we don't have anyone else, they're at least more trustworthy than secular point of views or those who were there, such as the Romans, the Jews, who also their view would be biased. So if I'm going to...
The next 6 months look like for anyone who wants to build something in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is looking internally and externally. I'm doing a listening tour with those that want to invest in the city. And then internally take
in every way. So
taking a look at what the...
I still will scrutinize and consider their view up against the previous statements in the Bible. So if a church father, I think a lot of church fathers, they kind of sound like they make it seem like martyrship was the key to salvation. And they spoke so bluntly about it, and it makes sense because they were going through it a lot. So it makes sense they would talk that way. But at the same time, it came across like righteousness was, or salvation is wrought by dying. So it's like, sort of like how Muslims, when they commit like these suicide bombings, even though they could live like a heathen, it seems like just killing yourselves or like being a martyr would be enough for Christ to say, okay, you're one of our people, you're good. So I did have some kind of reservation against that idea, and it seemed like they did kind of, in that sense, they did kind of believe in works-based righteousness. Other than that, yeah, I don't take their word as, the word of God, like they're prophets. Other church fathers, I will also consider if they say things such as they believe in the immortality of the soul, certain kind of views of hell, of course, Sunday sacredness, then of course I would take that with a grain of salt, or just kind of, eat the watermelon but spit out the seeds. So I'll see the value in other things in things they say, but not in everything. Not agree to everything they say. So that's how I view the church fathers.
part of what you mentioned about the martyrs, I'll give you a couple passages to think about. It says, like in Revelation 20, I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for the testimony of Jesus and for the word of God. And it goes on to say they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. You have Revelation 6, 9 to 11. I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the witnesses that they had borne. And then Revelation 2, be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Revelation 3:21, the one who conquers, I will grant him to sit on my throne. And then Revelation 7 talks about these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. But yeah, I think that most of those are all, or really all of them, but specifically a few of those are talking about, the martyrs and stuff.
Yeah, I accept that. When it comes to those, I think in some sense it speaks of us collectively as though we're all going through the same kind of martyrdom, because clearly, like, not everyone was beheaded. Of course, Paul was beheaded. I think, who was like cut in half? Was it Isaiah? Isaiah was cut in half. But then there was some disciple who was pulled apart by two horses. I forgot who. It was Thomas? I forget.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I don't think it was Thomas. I thought it was the Old Testament prophet.
No, he too. But I know in the Fox Books of Martyrs it talks about one of the disciples. They were split in half by two horses. But either way, my point is that not all of them was beheaded in the literal sense, like their heads were cut off. Of course, they were killed in all kinds of ways. But the point is that, all throughout time, God's people were persecuted. And even like Abel was, his blood is like a sort of representing all the innocent who suffer because of the wicked. So, I think that would also include even us, like people who have not really suffered any persecution in the same way they did. Because it's some reason, I think the Bible speaks to us as a collective, as like one team. So yeah, it kind of speaks, just like how Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, and he was making it sound like they were guilty for what happened to Abel. And he was saying, your fathers always do this, as though their fathers was like Cain. And Cain's father, Cain was not related to any of those people. All his Cain's descendants died. So it was more so speaking about like you on your side, the evil side. I'm speaking to all of you guys as though you guys did the same thing. And then to my people, I speak as though all that happened to us. And that's we kind of go in and out in our normal speech. Like you guys killed us. You guys, like, let's say you talk to a black person, they make it sound like they went through slavery, even though they did not suffer any kind of slavery in the modern age. But because it happened to the ancestors or people like them, they apply it to themselves. So yeah, well, I'm not sure what part you want me to focus on, like the idea that they were under the altar, fact that they were martyrs, or that is it supposed to connect to the fact that the church fathers kind of like promoted martyrdom as like some kind of righteousness, like salvation type of thing.
Yeah. So was just because you brought up the martyr, and you said that you didn't really care for how they talked about martyrdom, and I'm just saying there's like what you call it, like precedent for it,
Yeah, it's the way they talk about it. It didn't sound like the.
In reference to the Muslim prophet and founder of Islam. Yohanatan Sofer, 21, said he had been participating in the annual march since coming with his family as a child. This year, he said, he came with fellow students at a Jewish seminary in Israel, spending the night in prayer and Torah study before traveling to Jerusalem. I quote, Jerusalem is one of the most meaningful things in our religion, he said. It's the root of everything. He dismissed the racist chants as acts of a small minority of participants. Early in the day, Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, staged another provocative visit to Jerusalem's most sensitive holy site, the hilltop compound that is home to the how do I say that?
Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Al-Aqsa.
It's on top of the Temple Mount where the second temple is. Because the Muslims were pieces of shit, and they built an entire fucking mosque on top of this, the most sacred place for Jews on earth.
Jews revere the site as the Temple Mount. Yeah, where the biblical temples once stood and the holiest site in Judaism. Ben-Gvir raised an Israeli flag, singing and claiming, "The Temple Mount is in our hands," referencing a famous statement from the Israeli paratrooper commander in 1967, who announced Israeli control of parts of the old city. His visit threatened to inflame tensions that are rife in the city after 2.5 years of near constant war and fragile ceasefires. 4 years ago, clashes between Palestinian protesters and Israeli police at the site set off an 11-day war between Israel and Hamas. Scuffles broke out, the 11-day war, that was 4 years ago?
I was going to ask you something, like, just for context. I'm not trying to be too forward and stuff, but was your mom still alive or no?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay. Imagine if your mom passed away and you married your mom. And then imagine Muslims trying to build a mosque on top of your mom's cemetery.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
And they tell you that you're also not allowed to fucking go and visit your mom's site where she's buried. That's the equivalent of what happened. They tell the Jews you're not allowed to go to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, not allowed to go to the Temple Mounts, and it's been that way for over 1,000 years. That's why you have the Jews going there mocking people and tell the fucking Muslims to go fuck themselves, because they literally built on the most holy site for all Jews a fucking mosque, and they told all the Jews that you're not allowed to come here. And if you do, they'll fucking protest and riot, and fucking burn shit down and kill people.